Dober fantasy players and fantasy football fans, let's take a look at 5 NFL wide receivers that could be the top fantasy sleepers and beat their Dober projected fantasy point totals for Week 14 of the 2017 NFL regular season. It isn't going to take much to get Seth Roberts to his projected fantasy points total. If Amari Cooper is out of the lineup for a second straight week with a concussion, there's a good chance Roberts will be on the field for most of the Raiders' snaps in a crucial game this week at Kansas City. Roberts hauled in 5 passes for 46 yards in last week's win over the Giants, numbers that would easily beat his projected fantasy point total this week as well. Derek Carr proved last week that he doesn't need either Michael Crabtree or Amari Cooper in the lineup to succeed. He threw for 287 yards and a touchdown with his ragtag group of wide receivers against the Giants, and he could be poised to do so again against the Chiefs. Johnny Holton caught a touchdown pass last week from Carr, but the key was that he was the most targeted receiver of the bunch with 7. If Carr looks Holton's way 7 times again in Week 14, there's no reason why he shouldn't get the few catches required to beat his projected fantasy point total. It's hard to love anyone in the Bears passing game, but Dontrell Inman is in a nice spot in Week 14 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati isn't going to have either Adam Jones or George Iloka in the lineup in this game, and that will leave Inman up against a battered secondary. Mitchell Trubisky isn't going to put up eye-popping numbers, but Inman has beaten his projected fantasy points total in each of his first 4 games in the Windy City. It has to pain fantasy footballers to think of Jordy Nelson as a fantasy sleeper at this point in his career after so many awesome seasons. It's not for a lack of effort, though. Nelson has received at least 4 targets in every game he has played this season, yet he has only exceeded 60 yards twice and hasn't topped 35 yards since October 15th. This week, though, Brent Hundley is probably going to have no choice but to put the ball in the air a little more. The Browns are surprisingly stout against the run, and Hundley will have to take some shots to loosen up that front 7. Nelson hasn't scored a touchdown since October 8th, but we think that he's a good bet to find the end zone again in Week 14. Eli Manning may be set to explode on Sunday. He was benched in Week 13, but reinstated as the starter this week after Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo were fired. Not only is he motivated to show that he still has something left in the tank, but he would love nothing more than to end the Cowboys' run at the playoffs. The stage is set for Roger Lewis to have fantasy relevance this Sunday. He has been on the field for at least 79% of the Giants' snaps in all but one game since Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. went down, and he figures to be third in line to Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram for Manning's targets in this game. The Cowboys have been notoriously weak against the deep ball this year, and Lewis is the best aerial threat Manning has. One big connection, and those who put Lewis on their Dober play cards won't have anything else to worry about in Week 14.